What's up, guys? KAMIKAZE-FOX coming to you from IRL F2 Season 2, Round 11 here at Australia at the Melbourne Park. And this is F1 2019 on the PS4 platform. And we are getting caught up here in qualifying as we catch the Williams here. This is Razor Varuz. And it looks like he is just starting a time lapse. So, running a little behind today. There's 16 minutes left in the qualifying session. Nobody has set a time yet. We were waiting for some drivers to show up. Unfortunately, today we only have 8 drivers, so this will be officially known as the IRL version of the 2005 Indianapolis US Grand Prix. If anybody's familiar with that, only 6 cars started that race in real life due to Michelin tires being affected by the banking at Indianapolis Turn 1. So it caused quite the controversy, quite the catastrophe for the United States Grand Prix at Indianapolis. So 6 cars started that race. We're going to have a whopping 8 today. But that being said, we only had 10 cars back in Bahrain at round 8. And that race wasn't... I'm sorry, Bahrain was actually round 9. And that race wasn't short on action at all, as we see Racer Varuz go around in the Williams. Not how he wanted to start his IRL debut. He's a new reserve driver. Don't know much about him. But this is his IRL debut. And thank goodness he's here so we have 8 drivers and not 7. Missing a lot of drivers today. Jack Yates being one of them. Andre Zaz being another. Apparently they are doing an FTRL charity race, which is something I'm not familiar with. Don't know what FTRL is, and I'm not sure how a charity race works online for some inconsequential and unsubstantiated online racing league. Seems silly to me, but charity work is what it is. It's beyond me. So we only have 8 drivers. We see Luis Wassman has set a time of 1:21.270. First driver to set a time lap. He's followed by Jared Fosbury, 1:22.485, and Paco Suarez has gone 1:31.918. I'm sure he can improve upon that. And while we watch some of these other guys, we'll run down the driver order. We've got Kevin Harrison, who's still in the pits. Razor Varuz, we saw out on track a moment ago. Adrian Storm, James Jock, and Harry Cooper round out the 8 drivers for today's race. So some of these guys, Jared Fosbury and Harry Cooper, can definitely capitalize with some of these drivers not making the race today. So as long as these guys finish 90% of this race, everybody's going to get points today. Last time out, we were at Abu Dhabi, the Yas Marina, which is where real F1 was today, and it proved once again that it is a snore fest of a race. At least in real F1. IRL was a different story. Last week at Abu Dhabi, Jack Yates did pick up his first pole position of the year. Kevin Harrison managed to win his 4th consecutive win, and Jonas Bogen, how they finished was Kevin Harrison, Harry Cooper, Jonas Bogen was your top 3, Luis Wassman, Jack Yates, Jorge Correa, Paco Suarez, Adrian Storm, Andres Pastana, and James Jock rounded out your top 10 points paying positions. However, there was a lot of controversy during the race and a lot of contact between a lot of different drivers, and penalties were served after the race. Harry Cooper picking up a 15-second penalty, and Jack Yates picking up a 30-second time penalty. So that actually shook up the finishing order a little bit. So Harry Cooper went from 2nd to 3rd, and that bumped Jonas Bogen, who picked up his first ever IRL podium finish, bumped him up from 3rd to 2nd. So congratulations to Jonas Bogen. Unfortunately, he is not here today. Razor Varuz is taking his place in the Williams. So that dropped Harry Cooper down to 3rd. Luis Wassman was able to hold on to his 4th place finish. Now, Jack Yates, who did finish 5th with a 30-second time penalty, dropped all the way to 8th. So that moved up Jorge Correa, Paco Suarez, and Adrian Storm. So, your official finishing order from last week was Kevin Harrison, Jonas Bogen, Harry Cooper, Luis Wassman, Jorge Correa, Paco Suarez, Adrian Storm, Jack Yates, Andres Pastana, and James Jock, rounding out the top 10 points paying positions. Unfortunately, 11th through 15th was all DNFs. That was Andre Zaz, Eric Penton, Jared Fosbury, and Daniel Tanberg. And if you rewatch the stream, Jared Fosbury did join me in the commentary booth after his DNF. He actually crashed out on lap 1. He was following behind Daniel Tanberg. Tanberg, lap, I think it was turn 19, I believe is what it was. hit the wall, tore off the right front suspension. Jared Fosbury was right behind him and rear-ended him and destroyed his car. So he was out at the end of lap 1, unfortunately, him and Tanberg. Ahoy Asahina had an adventurous day. He was running in 4th at one point, actually had a really good race going until he lost the internet connection. His car went AI. His car, therefore, then took out Paco Suarez. He regained connection of the car after rejoining and then ended up getting a DNF later in the race anyway. So unfortunately for him, he had a good run going, but ultimately DNF for the first time this year and comes home in 11th spot. So 10 minutes left to play in this session so far. Again, Luis Wassman out in front, 121.270. He's on another outlap. Jared Fosbury, 122.485. Adrian Storm improves his time to 123.435. We were watching Reza Varuz as he gets ready to come across the line for the first time. And unfortunately, whatever Razor did, he did not set a time. And it looks like we've got Can Vilhoen joining us. And I am not 100% sure. Can Vilhoen hasn't joined us all year. I'm wondering if he's supposed to be an F3 driver. Speaking of F3 drivers, I do want to bring this up. I think we mentioned it briefly last week during the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, as F3 was having some internet issues. So a lot of guys jumped over to our stream. But I do want to give a quick shout out to Ivan Brito from PTRL. Ivan Brito was in IRL F2 at the beginning of this year. Round 8 in Spain at Catalunya. He had a terrible, terrible race. Was off the pace. He spun the car multiple times. And he made the very mature decision to not only retire from the race, because he was basically a moving roadblock at that point, but he decided that he is not ready for F2 racing and dropped back to IRL F3. And last week, I am very happy to say Ivan Brito, crowd favorite, picked up his first ever career IRL win at Abu Dhabi in the F3 League. Congratulations to him. Smart move on him. Very mature decision from a very young man about dropping down a league. So congratulations to him for picking up his first ever win. And we see Reza Varuz is going to head back into the pits. So struggling a little bit with the grip of the car. And it looks like he might be struggling with the tires a little bit. He did go out on the mediums earlier. He's now out on the softs. And so far we've still got 4 drivers that have yet to set a time. Nothing from Kevin Harrison, nothing from Reza Varuz, even though he has tried very hard. James Yak is on a hot lap. And Harry Cooper is just now coming out on an out lap. So 8 minutes left to play in the session. 8 cars still waiting to set times to see who can come out on top in this pole position battle here in this 18-minute qualifying session. And let's check out the live stream here. Got a couple of guys. And apparently his name is Virus. Or We Virus. That's not a very good name, We Virus. Reza Varuz sounds way better. And I am being told by Neon Rapid that Can Vilhoen needs to leave the lobby. So apparently he is not an official IRL F2 driver. Tamberg is telling me that Varuz, you would say it as Virus, as an antivirus. So Razor Virus. We're going to stick with Varuz. Sounds more exotic. James Jock, though, has yet to set a time. Looks like his time may have been invalidated on that hot lap, so still no time from Kevin Harrison, Razor, Chipsman, Crunchy James Jock, or Harry Cooper. Cooper is out on an out lap, though. The caution in Sector 2, and Cooper is going to cut that chicane. Looks like he's not happy with some sort of setup. And I'm being told by Neon Rapid that Can Vilhoen is actually an F1 driver, so he is definitely in the wrong lobby. And Cooper is off track. It looks like he's got one of the Mercedes getting ready to come through. That's either going to be Suarez or Storm as Cooper dives into the pits. And while all this was happening, I just want to throw this out here. Luis Wasserman has gone 1:28.65, so it looks like he's improved his time a little bit. Things have gotten close at the second spot, and Ken Vilhoon has officially left the session. Jared Fosbury set a time at a 1:21.363, closely followed by a tenth of a second by Paco Suarez at a 1:21.488. 5:40 left to play in the session, and James Jock is out on course, going very slow. And he is going to head into the pits. So Razor's the only car out on track right now, currently on an out lap. He's yet to set a time. He's tried twice to do a hot lap, and both times he spun on the first hot lap, and then the second one was invalidated for exceeding the track limits as he heads down into the turn 1-2 section. Then he'll have the DRS as we head down into the very infamous Sports Center turn 3 section. This is a place where Gerhard Berger had one of his massive crashes. Fernando Alonso had a massive crash at turn 3. Jacques Villeneuve had a massive crash in 2006 there. So turn 3 pretty treacherous. And oh, he's into the wall. And Razor really pushing this car. He's really trying to find the grip level. And he's lucky he didn't smash the right front suspension completely. He did break the right front end plate off of the front wing, so he'll have to go back in and swap out the wing and put on another set of tires and see if he can make something happen. So Razor making his IRL debut. He's a reserve driver for Williams. Filling in for Daniel Tanberg, who is unable to make it today. And he should dive into the pits here. So he's going to have just enough time to new tires, new wing, maybe reset the some of the settings a little bit to try and dial in this car. James Jock is back out on a hot lap. 3:30 left to play in the session, and now James Jock is the only one left on the track. He's out on these soft tires right now. Kevin Harrison has been sitting in the pits this whole time. Harrison will probably make a one-lap last-ditch effort to take pole position. Currently, provisional pole sitter Luis Wasserman, 1:28.65. He's coming off of his best finish of the year last time out at Abu Dhabi, where he finished 4th. So he'll be looking to try and capitalize on that momentum moving forward. Went into the grass a little bit. You see there, he's going to try and put a little bit more heat into the tires. So James Jock going to start a hot lap. We're going to hop on board with him as he heads down the front stretch. Through the 1-2 section, down this dog leg straightaway. The DRS slot will be open, heading down into turn 3. Right, left, right. Get the power down, and you've got this sweeping right-hander here. You want to keep the power down, run a little wide, use all the curve that you can. And looks like he exceeded the track limit, so he's off the gas. He's got enough time to do it one more time if he needs to. 2 minutes left to play. Adrian Storm coming out on his out lap. Jared Fosbury is on an out lap. And Storm and Fosbury, looks like Luis Wasserman's coming out as well. And it doesn't look like Kevin Harrison is going to go out. Jared Fosbury coming out. That was Paco Suarez. I'm sorry, he just left pit road. And Razor Villeruz is now out on the medium tires. He's going to give it one last go. Got a yellow flag in sector 3. And it looks like Harry Cooper is on an out lap. At least it says he is, but car shows still in the pits. So here we'll pick up Adrian Storm. 54 seconds left to play in this session. And these are going to be the last runs for pole. So Paco Suarez is going to be the first one to start a final hot lap as he heads down the dog leg. Into turn 3, fourth quickest so far, 1:22.173. He's only one of 4 drivers to have set a time so far. Yellow flag flies in sector 3. That was a little wide coming out of that sweeping right-hander. And now you've got this quick left-right coming up chicane. A lot of guys try to take it flat out, maybe downshift 1 gear. Looks like he might have cut that corner a little too tight, probably invalidated the time. And it looks like Luis Wassman's locked in a 1:28.65, your provisional pole sitter. Paco Suarez is locked in a 1:21.488. Adrian Storm, we're currently watching 1:22.173. A lot of these guys didn't get back out on track in time to try and set a hot lap. Jared Fosbury's still out. Razor Varuz is still out. And oh, he comes across the line, and you see one of the wrecked cars there. That's the caution in sector 3. Adrian Storm manages to go 1:21.236, so he improves his position to second. We'll pick up Jared Fosbury. And I'm not sure whose car that was out on the front stretch, but you saw him crashing right there. And here comes Jared Fosbury, the last couple of corners. He comes across the line now. And it doesn't look like... There it is, 1:24.81. I'm sorry, 1:28.21 for Jared Fosbury, picking up provisional pole. Razor Varuz is the only driver still out on track. Let's see if he's able to post the time. Currently going to be classified as 6th. And it looks like he did run a 1:22 flat, so that would have been good enough for 5th. So congratulations to Razor for his first ever. Qualifying position. So here's your starting order. This is Jared Fosbury with your pole. Luis Wassman starting 2nd. Adrian Storm will be 3rd. Paco Suarez will be starting 4th. Razor Varuz in 5th. Kevin Harrison will be starting 6th. James Jock is 7th. And Harry Cooper is 8th. Harrison did not set a time. James Jock tried multiple times to set a time but invalidated his times. You'll have to watch out for him. He's probably going to pick up multiple time penalties throughout the course of this race if it was anything like qualifying. And then Kevin Harrison didn't even bother to come out of the pits, I don't think. So he'll be starting in the 6th spot. And congratulations to Jared Fosbury picking up another pole position. And that is his 2nd one of the year and his 2nd in the last 3 races. So good for him. So an interesting qualifying session. I'm surprised your championship points leader, Kevin Harrison, didn't bother to set a hot lap. In fact, there's been very little sign of him being here with the exception of just the car being here. So we shall see what transpires. And again, only 8 drivers here today. Now, we only had 10 drivers back at Bahrain. That was round 9, and that was actually a very action-packed race. And the fight for 3rd literally came down to a 3-car battle within the last 100 yards of the race. And it even got mixed up after the fact because of penalties. So short on car count does not mean short on action in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to do the formation lap. No, actually, it looks like we are off and running. No formation lap this time. So 5 red lights and they're out. Jared Fosbury off to a great start. I don't think all the drivers were ready for this. I think some of them were planning on a formation lap. Luis Wassman trying to close in here at the end of turn 3. Adrian Storm is up into 3rd. Razor got a good start, moved up from 5th to 4th. James Jock is in 5th spot. Paco Suarez has fallen back to 6th. Kevin Harrison dropped a couple spots to 7th, and Harry Cooper is 8th. So I think we were all planning on a formation lap, but it doesn't look like it went that way. So the drivers are off and running lap 1 of 29. It's a 50% race here at Melbourne Park in Australia. This is round 11. And Fosbury trying to gap Luis Wassman. He's been able to do that. Adrian Storm in the Mercedes is closing in on Wassman at the racing point. And Razor Farouz is off to a relatively good start considering the troubles that he had in qualifying, solidly running in 4th. He's got a second gap between him and James Jock, who's made a great start up into 5th. But there's a 3-car battle out in front right now. As Jared Fosbury is going to come around to lead the first lap. And this is good news for Fosbury. This is exactly what Fosbury needed. Score pole position. If he can walk away with the win, that would help him capitalize in the championship battle, considering he had a DNF last time out. Jack Yates isn't going to be here today, and he had a dismal race last time out, finishing 8th, so that's going to help him. Kevin Harrison currently running in 7th, but Harrison has won 4 races in a row. Not to mention that he has become quite the race strategist, so... And Harry Cooper is already into the pits. I wonder if he had gotten wing damage. Uh-oh, we've got a... Oh no, and that's Paco Suarez. Looks like he might have had some contact with Kevin Harrison, but it ended up into the wall. Or he might have done it all on his own, but Harrison's going to move into 6th. Meanwhile, the battle for 2nd rages on. Luis Wassman being pursued by Adrian Storm. And Storm, he's going to stay within that 2nd gap, so this is going to be helpful for him. And actually, Luis Wassman made up a little bit of time on Jared Fosbury through that middle sector. It's going to be the start of lap 3, so the DRS will be enabled. That is the drag reduction system, where the rear wing slot will be open in the DRS zones if you're within the second of the car in front of you. Now, Jared Fosbury's not going to have the DRS advantage, and Luis Wassman comes across. He sets the fastest lap of the race so far. And Luis Wassman closing in that gap. Now, he's been able to gap Adrian Storm by a 2nd now, so Adrian Storm has fallen out of the DRS range. And you see Razor Farouz comes into this fold there. He's 2.5 seconds behind Adrian Storm. So the battle for 2nd has now become the battle for 1st. Storm trying to close that gap. He wants to stay within that DRS range. Fosbury running solidly out in front. Left-right chicane there. That is a very hard corner. A lot of guys will lose it there. Look at the DRS slot open. Look at this. He's caught up to the back of Fosbury. He's all over the gearbox now. The McLaren in front. Luis Wassman. Wassman had a relatively good year last year. Picked up a few podiums. I think he even had a win to his credit. He's been a little quiet this year. He did have a really good run last time out. As we said earlier, finished 4th at Abu Dhabi. He's going to be looking to capitalize on that momentum now. Got the DRS slot open, comes across the line, runs the fastest lap again, takes a peek inside, but says no and tucks back in line. Now, can he get a good run coming down the dog leg straightaway into turn 3? Get a yellow flag sector 3. And look, as Fosbury's going to take the more defensive line, and Watson's going to try and go around the outside, loses the back end. And Paco Suarez picks up a 3-second time penalty, as he's currently running in 7th, and now Adrian Storm is called back up to this battle. So 3-car battle now for the lead. Meanwhile, Razor Farouz, who's been running 4th, is now under pressure from James Yock for the 4th spot. And this battle has taken place 5.5 seconds behind the battle for 1st, which is a 3-car battle. That's Jared Fosbury in the McLaren, followed by Luis Wassman, followed by Adrian Storm. Your top 3 running within 1.5 seconds of each other. Slot open again for Wassman. He's able to close up there. Gets within a couple of car lengths. He's going to be in the dirty air, so he's going to get a little aero wash in some of these high-speed corners, but he's been able to keep track and stick with Jared Fosbury for the most part. Back on the gas, DRS slot open. So Watson and Storm have the DRS slots open. They'll be able to get a little bit of top speed going down the front straightaway. Not going to be close enough to make a move. We take a look back behind them. Here comes Razor Varuz as he's followed by James Jacques. And Jacques has just fallen out of the DRS range. And yellow flag sector 3. Harry Cooper's going to be done for the day. Not what Harry needed. He was running in 8th all by his lonesome. He had struggled at the beginning of this race. It looks like he has crashed out here on lap 5, unfortunately. So Harry Cooper, coming off a 3rd place finish last time out, was hoping to capitalize on some of the championship rivals being not in the race today, and unfortunately, no points going to be awarded to him as he's going to be credited with a DNF. We continue to watch Adrian Storm. Now, Adrian Storm has lost touch with this battle again. He's just out of the DRS range, and Luis Wassman's still trying to get to the rear of that McLaren of Jared Fosbury. See how close he's cutting that curb there. He's probably going to get a couple of warnings throughout the course of the day. Time penalties will be an issue, and I guarantee you that it's going to be, that corner's going to be one of the main ones that you're going to end up picking up a time penalty. There's a couple of them on this course that are really hard to try and maintain the speed that you want and use as little track or as much track as you possibly can. DRS slot open once again for Luis Wassman. And it looks like James Jacques is finally making that move. Nope, this is, they've moved up because Adrian Storm has pitted from 3rd. So Adrian Storm, the first driver to pit on the actual pit sequence. Harry Cooper pitted at the end of lap 1, we're assuming because of wing damage. So Adrian Storm's going to drop all the way to 7th. This puts Razor Varuz into the 3rd spot. And he is still being pursued by James Jacques. Kevin Harrison still running in 5th. 3.5 seconds behind that battle as we watch the battle for 1st here. We hop on board with Luis Wassman. He's trying to stay in that slipstream with Jared Fosbury. And here we go, a quick left-right. Runs a little wide there. Cuts that a little close. DRS slot open. So he makes a quick adjustment on the steering wheel. Up into 4th. Up into 5th. Trying to stick with Fosbury. Fosbury hasn't put a foot wrong so far all weekend. Oh, and a little bit of a snap oversteer, understeer moment there for Wassman. DRS slot open, closing that gap. Ooh, running very close to the ragged edge there through 1 to 2 complex. DRS slot open again as they head down the dogleg straightaway in the Turn 3 Sports Center. No big lunge there as we look at the back of the Husky chocolate spoiler of McLaren out in front. And these two guys are running on the ragged edge. This is a great drive by Wassman. Now we got another dog leg straightaway here. This one's a dog leg left. This heads up to the left-right complex here. Oh, and that's cutting it very close. He's really trying to close that gap, and that is a 3-second time penalty for Adrian Storm, who's picked up multiple warnings. He's currently running in 7th, and that had to be a warning for Luis Wassman cutting that left-hander. So still looking at the front of Wassman's car. Not able to close it up. Takes that corner much better this time. He's still in hot pursuit of Jared Fosbury and McLaren. DRS slot will be open. That was a hot lap around this track as we watched Wassman try to close in. The Fosbury will hop on board again. He tucks out of line. Not going to be close enough to make a move. Checking out this great view out the side pod of the Racing Point F1 racing car. And now, again, he's going to try to go to the outside. Fosbury takes the defensive line. Crossover move. He's not close enough to make it work. Meanwhile, Paco Suarez is making a move on Kevin Harrison for the 5th spot. We're not going to switch to that. Don't want to take away from the battle for the lead here. And Wassman's still not able to find a way around Jared Fosbury's McLaren. Fosbury is making that car very wide, very difficult to get around. That's twice now going into the turn 3 Sports Center complex that Wassman's tried to make a move around the outside, and Fosbury's taking away that defensive line. So great driving by these two guys. Working lap 8 of 29, and I want to give a quick shout out to Razor Varuz, who's currently running in 3rd. He struggled in qualifying, but is running solidly a 2.5 over James Yak in the 4th spot. So good for Razor. This is his IRL debut. Reserve driver for Williams today. Filling in for Daniel Tamberg, another crowd favorite. Tamberg unable to make the race, so we've got Razor in his place. And again, Wassman's got that DRS slot open. He's so close. He's able to maintain that like 0.6 of a second gap to Fosbury out in front. He's run the fastest lap this race, but he just can't quite close in the gap close enough to make a move. And again, down into turn 3 is where he really is able to set things up, but he hasn't been able to find a way around him just yet. It looks like we've got CRG Blizzard. Blizzard, that is Matthew Alder, I believe, joining us on the live chat, if that is in fact who I think it is. And if it is, Matthew Alder is an F1 driver, not an F2. He is very quick. But yes, unfortunately, a lack of turnout. We started with 8 cars. We currently have 7 after one DNF from Harry Cooper, who crashed out a few laps ago. But as we like to say here in F2 and in IRL, lack of car count does not make up for a lack of action here on the track. And these two are, oh, looks like Wassman thought about staying out for a second, but he thought, nah, I better not. Jared Fosbury would be trying to shoot for that undercut. Oh, and a 5-second penalty for Jared Fosbury speeding into the pit lane. Wassman's going to be able to capitalize on this. Unbelievable. And Razor Varuz is going to overtake them both and take the lead. That's going to put James Jock into second. So the 5-second time penalty will not be served in the pit lane. It'll be added onto his total race time. So that is not good news for Fosbury. He's going to be coming out of the pit in 5th. Wassman will be 6th. Wassman did lose a little bit of time in the pits because of that. So Paco Suarez looks like he's going to be able to capitalize on this because actually your top 4 drivers haven't even made a stop yet. It was Adrian Storm that was the first of the front runners to make a pit stop. So your top 4 drivers have not stopped yet. And they're all on medium tires. Adrian Storm, the only driver, in fact, on hards. And I think Storm would lose way too much time trying to run hards all the way to the end of this race. But you see that 9 laps on the top 4 drivers. That's Razor Varuz, who's currently running in 1st, the Williams reserve driver. Good for him. He's followed by James Jock, who's been trying to find a way around him for most of this race. Paco Suarez running in 3rd, and Kevin Harrison quietly has been up and down in the back part of this field today, running in 4th now. And Harrison looks like he's going to dive into the pits here on lap 11, so Jared Fosbury will be able to overtake him through the pit sequence. This is Luis Wassman. Wassman actually lost a lot of time in the pits, but I think that's going to be inconsequential right now because Fosbury's going to have that 5-second time penalty tacked onto his total race time at the end of this race. Not to mention what other time penalties he might incur throughout the course of this race. We're only on lap 11 of 29. We're not even halfway through this race right now. And really, the racing has been top-notch from Wassman and Jared Fosbury. So Kevin Harrison does come out of the pits. He is now 20 seconds behind Adrian Storm, and he has put on the hard tires as well. So he's going to run those all the way to the end. And I'm not usually one to question Kevin Harrison's pit strategy because the last 4 races he has won on some incredible race strategy calls. He's becoming very well known in this league as the master strategist, so... But he hasn't quite had the pace today that he's had in some of these other races. So Harrison, he's a little off the pace. His demeanor today seemed a little, a little agitated maybe. Maybe just not all there going into the race today. But he's been running solidly in, the mid-pack. But really, coming off of 4 race wins, I expected a little bit more out of him. Luis Wassman once again running the fastest lap at a 1:25 flat. And he's closing that gap down to Adrian Storm. He's closing the gap down to Jared Fosbury. These two are battling for the lead. Now your top 3 drivers have yet to pit. That is still Reza Varuz out in front. James Yock still running behind him. And Paco Suarez quietly running in 3rd. And as we speak, James Yock is actually starting to close in that gap now. He's within DRS range of Razor in the Williams, so not sure how much racing would be taking place here. Paco Suarez picks up a 3-second time penalty. I think that's his second one. It's not going to be much longer now before Razor and James and Paco all have to pit. So how much racing do you really want to do in the next few laps before the pit window, which is actually open now? How hard do you want to run before you try and overtake him maybe during the pit sequence? Maybe go for the undercut and hit a little sooner than the other guy out in front. But James Jock is charging hard as he head down into turn 1, get the DRS slot open. They both drop a wheel in the grass. Razor able to stay ahead, half a second gap now. DRS slot open is going to be open again as they head down into turn 3. And again, James Jock was able to get close to Razor earlier in the race when they were battling for the 4th spot. Wasn't able to find a way around him. But this is a great run by these 2 young drivers here. And these two, obviously this is an IRL debut for Razor Varuz, and James Jock, Chipsman Crunchy, is not used to running up in the front like this, even through a pit sequence. He's usually mid-pack to lower half of the points. So this is a great run for him. It'd be great for him to capitalize on the small car count today. And again, we've got some drivers, Jack Yates and Andre Zaz, not able to make the race today as they are participating in a charity race with the SRL League. I'm not sure who they are, and I'm not sure what the charity's for or why they're doing it, but their choice. Me personally, I'd be running for a championship. As we continue to watch this battle here for the lead, half-second gap now. James Jock still trying to find a way around the Williams of Reza Varuz. And no takers on pits so far. These two are going to stay out, as is Paco Suarez. And you saw Jared Fosbury just coming into the background picture there at the end of that lap. And look at this, James Jock's going to be very close, dives to the inside. Oh, and there's a little bit of contact. What is going on here? Terrible camera angle. Looking at the side pod there, and there was a little bit of contact. You heard it there from Razor and Chipsman Crunchy. James Jock, so a little bit of defensive driving. Did not get a good angle of it, thanks to Codemasters and their wonderful camera selection at some of these times. And Daniel Tannenberg saying he's having a boring time at the birthday party. You should have been racing today, Daniel. But we're watching his reserve teammate right now in the Williams try and hold on to this lead. And now Jared Fosbury and Luis Wassman are starting to close in on this battle here. And again, the top 3 drivers here have yet to pit. They've stayed out. They've got 13 laps on these medium tires. They're going to try and run a very long first stint, possibly switch over to the softs, which is the strategy that I would have gone with. Now, Adrian Storm and Kevin Harrison are both running hard tires, and they're going to try and run them all the way to the end. I'm not sure Adrian Storm would be able to do that. He's already got 8 laps on those hards. He's had to make a pit stop once because of contact. But here, now you see all 5 cars are out on the front stretch as we continue to watch James Jock try and find his way around Reza Varuz. And Razor doing a great job holding on to that top spot. And watching these 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, Luis Wassman just coming into the background. He's 1.5 seconds off. Jared Fosbury is here. And James Jock picked up a 3-second time penalty through that corner there. And Jared Fosbury, I think Jared really needs to be really careful and abide his time in making this pass. These guys are going to have to pit soon. Oh, and you see this Paco Suarez going around the outside of James Jock to take the second spot. Great move by Paco Suarez. And Suarez felt the pressure from Jared Fosbury and says, I want to get the hell out of here. Gets around James Jock. Jock now under pressure from Jared Fosbury. And still no takers from the top 3 of the pits. Fosbury's going to have the DRS advantage. He's on the fresher tires. He should be able to get around at least James Jock relatively easily. James Jock's not going to make it easy. Side by side. Good move by Fosbury to take the 3rd spot away from James Jock. He's now going to set his sights on Paco Suarez. Suarez, though, has got different plans. He wants to try and find his way around Razor and the Williams. As we now have a 5-car battle going on here for the top 5 spots. An unbelievable racing going on here. Lap 16 of 29, and your 2 front runners have still yet to pit out on the medium tires. Fosbury pitted a couple laps ago. He's got the fresher tires. He is the faster driver. Now, Suarez has had a abysmal season so far. He'd be looking to try and garner a very top drive here today and make it to the podium, but he's had some really bad luck, and he's putting himself in some precarious situations, so he hasn't been able to capitalize on some of these races that he's been in. You see now, he's going to try and go around the outside. Razor trying to take away the defensive line. He knows he's under pressure from 2 drivers that both have DRS. And look at this, Fosbury all over the gearbox of the Mercedes in front. He's got to be very careful. He doesn't want to get any wing damage. And here comes Luis Wassman. Wassman has made it around James Jock. Still no takers from the top 2. All the way to the inside. Fosbury with a great move to the inside. And now Suarez is going to try and tuck in behind him. Here comes Luis Wassman. And it's a 3-car battle for 2nd spot. And Wassman's going to try and go around the outside. Oh no, and he's into the wall. Suarez trying to take away a line, and Wassman, with unfortunate luck there, breaks the right front end plate off of the wing. And that is very unfortunate for him. Had such a good run going. He was really battling for the lead of this race ultimately and he picks up a 3-second time penalty to add insult to injury. So Jared Fosbury now is all over the backside of Razor. He's going to try and do the crossover to the inside. Oh, very tight corner there. And around the outside of the dogleg, this is not a good spot to try and make a pass. This is not going to work. He goes around the outside. Power move by Jared Fosbury. What a pass. I didn't think it would work, and he proved me wrong. Great move by Jared Fosbury. This is now his race to win. Lap 17 of 29. He's going to run these mediums all the way to the end. Razor Farouz and James Jock have yet to make a pit stop. Neither is Paco Suarez. Luis Wassman has to make a pit stop now because of the wing damage. And this race has just fallen into Jared Fosbury's hands. Razor heads into the pits. James Jock stays out on track. And Luis Wassman coming in to make another pit stop. Unbelievable turn of events. And this is just fallen into the hands of Jared Fosbury. He has got to be just ecstatic with what's going on. He's probably smiling ear to ear in the car right now. This is all fallen his way. And Kevin Harrison very quietly running in 7th. Unbelievable day for him. He'll be able to pick up the 6th spot since Wassman's in the pits. But Kevin Harrison just off the pace this race. You see Fosbury now is able to gap James Jock to the tune of 1.7 seconds. And again, James Jock is still yet to pit. Neither is Paco Suarez. So really, this race is just Jared Fosbury's. It's his to lose at this point. Nobody's going to have a thing for him. There's no way. And it looks like James Jock has finally come into the pits. Does Adrian Storm follow suit? Adrian Storm does not follow suit. Adrian Storm, who I questioned earlier about switching over to the hard so early, is now into the second spot. Where is Razor? Razor's going to be able to come out in front of James Jock. And Paco Suarez, he's not going to be close enough to make a move. Oh, he might be, though, as he gets a good run through 1 and 2. And he's on the soft tires. Suarez around the outside. And Suarez is going to take that 4th spot away. Meanwhile, James Jock is all over the back of Paco Suarez. So we saw Adrian Storm get around. No, this is still the battle for 4th. I'm getting my Mercedes confused. And Adrian Storm picks up a 3-second time penalty. Currently running in the 2nd spot on those hard tires. I still have to question Adrian's pit strategy, though, because he's got a lot of laps on those hard tires. 13 laps. He's going to try and run another 10. It could be done, but he might have some tire degradation towards the end of this race, which could fall into the hands of currently Razor Varuz, who's running in 3rd spot. Now, he's 10.5 seconds off of Adrian Storm, but he's 3.5 seconds ahead of his Storm's teammate Paco Suarez. So we'll do a little bit of a grid reset here for you. We've got Jared Fosbury out in front. He's 9.5 seconds ahead of Adrian Storm. Razor Varuz is 10.5 seconds back from the 2nd spot. He just ran the fastest lap. We've got a yellow flag, sector 3. Oh, and that's Luis Wassman. Looks like he might have lost it coming out of the last corner, and he's lost the front wing. And Luis Wassman had such a good race going up until a couple of laps ago when he had contact with Paco Suarez, and it is now just falling apart. Don't give up, Luis. 90% race distance will garner you the points for 7th, so don't let it get to you. So again, Fosbury out in front. Adrian Storm currently running in 2nd. Razor Varuz running in 3rd. Paco Suarez is running in 4th. James Jock is running in 5th. Kevin Harrison, who's barely made a peep today, is running in 6th. And we just saw Luis Wassman struggling with the car as his race has fallen apart here in the last few laps. So everybody's made their stop. And Luis Wassman, he's retired from the session. And I'm going to chalk that up to a rage quit. He had such a good race going. I was really looking forward to him having a good finish today, but he is going to be credited with a DNF, and he did not finish 90% race distance, so he will garner no points today, unfortunately, for Luis. So Jared Fosbury still out in front. 15 laps on Adrian Storm's tires. I don't see Adrian closing the gap to Jared Fosbury at all. The real battle, I think, is going to be between Razor Varuz, who's running the softs. He's got 3 laps on those softs compared to the 15-lap hards of Adrian Storm. So I think the real battle is going to be for the 2nd spot, which would be an amazing IRL debut for Razor Varuz, especially considering the problems and troubles that he had in qualifying. He was unable to set a hot lap. I think he did it at the last ditch effort and qualified 5th, but spun the car once, had his times invalidated 2 or 3 times, it seemed like. So the real battle, I think, is going to be between Varuz. I'm getting yellow flag sector 2. Not sure who that would be. Oh, it looks like it was Kevin Harrison. Looks like he's been off. And oh no, Paco Suarez is retired from the session along with James Jock. Oh no, there's been a massive crash. And I wonder if Kevin Harrison, oh, there you see, he's coming through the debris field. Look at this, the 2 cars off. And Kevin Harrison is going to pick up the 4th spot. Unbelievable turn of events for Suarez and James Jock. They both had a relatively good race going. Now, Kevin Harrison's going to have to pit because of the wing damage. And I wonder if he got tangled up, if that was on his own, or if he was tangled up in some of that battle with somebody else. I think he was all by his lonesome when it happened. But Paco Suarez, we talked about the struggles he's had this year. And now we started with 8. We are down to 4. Lap 22 of 29. This has been an unbelievable race. And we're going to continue to monitor the gap now between Razor Varuz running in 3rd and Adrian Storm running in 2nd, because now the gap was 9 seconds a couple laps ago. Razor's got that time down to 7.7, so he's closing the gap down to Adrian Storm. And this is just, you know, for as much as Kevin Harrison has struggled today, he qualified poorly. I don't even think he set a time. He struggled at the start. He's barely made a peep throughout the course of this race. No big moves, no great call and race strategy. We just saw him struggle with wing damage and hit the wall. He's been able to move up into 4th because of the mistakes of some of these other drivers. And these are good drivers. Harry Cooper, multiple-time race winner. He's the first one to crash out. Luis Wassman's got podiums and a win to his credit from last year where he contended for the F2 championship. Paco Suarez the same way. Wins and podiums to his credit from last year. Crashes out with James Jock, who was having a career day. Having a great run earlier in this race. But Kevin Harrison's been able to, because of him being off the pace, he's been able to stay out of trouble with the other cars. He's now in the 4th spot. And Razor Varuz is now closed in the gap, now 6.9 down to Adrian Storm. I don't know that he's going to have enough laps. He's basically got to close a second gap a lap on Adrian Storm. Now, he's going to have to push, but I think Adrian Storm's still going to run into some tire degradation towards the end of this race. And there's a little bit of radio chatter going on behind the scenes now between Luis Wassman and Paco Suarez, and that was really where Wassman's race started to fall apart. When he had that contact with Suarez and got put in the wall. It looks like those two are going to go have a private chat with each other. But just an unbelievable turn of events now. And Razor's got the gap down to 6 seconds. And Adrian Storm is now starting to lose time to Jared Fosbury, so he's lost a few more tenths that time. So his gap to Fosbury is now 10 plus seconds, while Razor's floating right at 6 flat. So pick up Adrian Storm. Now, Kevin Harrison just ran the fastest lap of this race at a 1:22.828. I mean, that smashes the previous best time. Now, that's the Kevin Harrison that I'm used to seeing. A 1:22.828, that's qualifying time, really, compared to the 1:24 flat of Razor and the 1:25.9 of Adrian and the 1:25.3. Those are the fastest laps from the drivers today. So 1:22 for Kevin Harrison, so he'll pick up the bonus point for running the fastest lap. Razor Varuz is running 1:24 flat, Adrian Storm 1:25.9, and Jared Fosbury 1:25.3. And Adrian Storm looks like he's picked up the pace a little bit, so he's gotten it back down from 10 seconds to 9.2. And he's been able to maintain the gap. Razor's only been able to close the gap by a couple tenths. He's down to 5.7. Razor is still going to try and He's still got the ability to maybe close that gap down. But he's running out of time to do it again. He would have to be about a second a lap. Working lap 25 of 29. So a little bit of radio chatter still going on behind the scenes between Wassman and Suarez. Continue to monitor this gap here with Razor Varuz. He's got the gap down to 5.2. And working lap 26 of 29, so it's a good chance things are going to stay the way they are. Which is a huge, huge day for Jared Fosbury after coming off of a DNF last time out. So with Jack Yates being out, and Eric Pettington being out, and Kevin Harrison having a bad day, and not bad enough for Jared Fosbury, but he's able to close the gap now to Kevin Harrison, put him solidly into second place in points. And a 3-second time penalty for Adrian Storm. So, you know, that's the one thing I actually forgot about. Time penalties. We know Jared Fosbury has a 5-second time penalty to be added to his total race time. But Adrian Storm, I think Adrian Storm has picked up a couple time penalties. There is a chance that Razor could still get the third spot. He can see Adrian Storm at this point with 3 laps to go. Well, actually, it will be 2 laps to go this time by. So, you look out the front there, you can't quite see him there. Oh, what is this, though? You can't see him because Adrian Storm did pit. And he's going to switch over to the softs, so Adrian Storm pits from second spot. So congratulations will be going to Razor Varuz. That's why we didn't see him. Varuz is now solidly in the second spot. Paco Suarez looks like with the see, so here's, because I don't have anybody else to talk to. Random thoughts, okay? So Adrian Storm pits to put on soft tires. Now, he did this for one of 2 reasons. One, the hards were finally starting to give up with 2 laps to go because he did pit way early. And I would like to think that that's why he pitted. Okay, reason number 2, he wants to get the fastest lap bonus point. But that would be a silly thing to do because you'd be giving up more points leaving second spot than finishing third and getting the bonus point. So I'd like to think that the tires gave up towards the end of this race and Adrian Storm had to switch over. He did pit relatively early. He had a lot of laps on those hard tires. He was going to go about 23 laps on those hards. So, but he would have to run a really fast lap because Kevin Harrison is still credited with the fastest lap at 1 minute and 22 seconds, so 122 flat almost. And the time penalty that Jared Fosbury had at the end of this race, the 5 seconds to be assessed to his total time, is going to be inconsequential at this point because he's got a 13-second lead over Razor Varuz. So, unbelievable turn of events today. You know, it's been a really interesting race. I mean, I know we only started with 8 cars, and actually Nova Furious is commenting on the live chat. We did only start with 8 cars, and yes, the turnout was a little low. This is the IRL version of the 2005 U.S. Grand Prix, but it has, you know, short on car count. I say it a lot. It was short on car count. We were not short on action today. We had a great battle for the lead going on at the start of this race. In the middle part of this race, we had a 5-car battle going on until there was some contact between Wassman and Suarez, and then James, Jock, and Suarez. And unfortunately, yeah, we started with 8. We only have 4. But this has been a huge day for Jared Fosbury and a great day for Razor Varuz making his IRL debut. So, I mean, that being said, it has not been short on action by any means. This has been a great race, even with 8 cars and now 4. And the championship battle has definitely made it a little bit more interesting. So Jared Fosbury coming around, starting his final lap, and he will be ecstatic to pick up this win here at Melbourne Park. He started on pole. It was his second pole position of the year. And to be honest with you, this would be Jared Fosbury's first win of the year as well. So he'll definitely be ecstatic about that. Second pole, first win. Jack Yates isn't here today, Eric Penton isn't here today, and Kevin Harrison's going to be coming home in 4th as it stands. So he'll be able to close that points gap. That's going to secure him 2nd spot in the points to Kevin Harrison. So big day for Jared Fosbury. Another big day for Razor Varuz making his IRL F2 debut as a reserve driver in the Williams, filling in for Daniel Tamberg. Had a tough qualifying session, spun the car, had his times invalidated multiple times, so he'll be able to come home 2nd. But here comes Jared Fosbury, first win of the year, and that is a huge, huge day for Jared Fosbury. Your defending F2 champion from last year finally picks up his first win of the season. And Razor Varuz, as we were just talking about, he's going to come across his IRL debut and come home with a podium finish, 2nd place for him. And Adrian Storm, he'll be able to come across the line in 3rd. Great day for Adrian Storm. Ran a mixed strategy, pitted too early to put on the hards. And Kevin Harrison, who's been able to capitalize on the mistakes of Paco Suarez, James Jack, Luis Wasserman, and Harry Cooper. He started deep in the field in 6th. He didn't set a time during qualifying. He just ran the fastest lap in this race and comes home 4th. So he's going to be able to do a little bit of damage control with Jared Fosbury winning this race. So congratulations to Kevin Harrison coming home 4th. Unfortunately, those are the only drivers that are actually going to get credited for points today, I believe. As the rule states, I believe you have to finish 90% of this race for the drivers to get credit for the points. And Adrian Storm is filling us in on what his pit strategy call was. And he did pit because he had penalties. So he'd already lost 2nd spot to Razor Varuz because of time penalties. So he figured he would pit, throw on the soft tires, and see if he could get the bonus point for fastest lap. So that all finally does make a little bit of sense. You see the winner there, Jared Fosbury, with Razor Varuz, Adrian Storm. Unbelievable day for them. So here is the finishing order. Jared Fosbury coming home with his first win of the year. Razor Varuz in his IRL debut coming home with his first podium. Adrian Storm coming home at 3rd. Kevin Harrison 4th. Those are your top 4 points-paying drivers. Paco Suarez, James Jock, Luis Wasserman, and Harry Cooper rounding out your 8 drivers that started the race, all with DNFs. Unbelievable racing today. We're going to try and get Jared Fosbury in here for a quick interview. See how he feels about picking up his first win of the year. So we'll try to get Jared Fosbury in here for a quick interview. And while we do that, we'll try and get you caught up on where we are heading next. And that is going to be December 1st, and we are going to be heading to Suzuka, a proper F1 track. That should be a lot of fun to watch. One of my favorite tracks. And here we have Jared Fosbury with us. Congratulations, yes. First win of the season, 2nd pole position of the season. A great day for you and able to close that gap in the championship. How are you feeling after that big win?
Well, it's about time. It got robbed in Bahrain, but me and Kevin settled that beef and finally got my win, even though it was 8 cars, because some people had charity events for FTRL. which is understandable, but some of them could have raced today because the race for FTRL didn't start till 6:10, which is a bit annoying, and it's let down a few of the drivers, but other than that, it was been a great result, and unfortunate for Paco, he was looking for a good result, and then him and Chitzman had some contact, him and Louis Vassman had some contact, and Louis, I've got to say, he looked like he was going to win today with that 5-second penalty.
Yeah, you guys were really battling it out in the first stint. You were able to gap him a little bit during your first pit stop, but were you able to gap him because of the speeding penalty? You went in too hot.
Yeah, well, that is a thing as well. I was like 2 miles an hour, apparently quicker, and but the lobby glitched at the start as well because formation that was on, and apparently it switched off, which is good Codemasters, but yeah, which didn't give me the best of starts, and I was a bit rattled with that. So, but no, other than that, I'm happy with finally getting a win, and I can finally try and defend my title and see if I can try and stop the Alfa Romeos today.
Well, I mean, it was good that you were able to capitalize on that. It was definitely a much-needed win, but definitely kind of a plus as well, since Kevin Harrison was relatively quiet all day, and Jack Yates not being here. Plus, Eric Penton wasn't here as well. So really the top 4 drivers, it was kind of a role reversal from last week where, you know, Harrison was able to capitalize with 3 of the drivers taking a hit, but now you're able to come back from it.
Yeah, after that retirement last week with Dantan, it was annoying. It was a bit unfortunate. I know Dantan didn't do it on purpose. He just misread the corner and just hit the wall, and I just was unlucky to collide with him. And, you know, me and him have had problems in the past, but I think we're cool now. And, you know, when you race and you're adrenaline and you can get a bit hot and bothered under the helmet, and I've got to give Kevin the credit to get 4th, go that fastest lap. I believe he got it, or Razor got it. I've got to give Razor a shout out as well. He has a reserve for 2nd place, is outstanding for him, even though there's still only 8 drivers. But yeah,
Razor, he definitely had a good race today. It was definitely a great IRL debut for him. See if we can get who else in here. We'll try and get Kevin Harrison in here and see what is going on with him, because Harrison just seemed to be off the pace all day.
Just give me 2 seconds. There he is.
And Luis Wassman still watching the live stream. The unfortunate day for him, really. I mean, he was with you for most of the race. Whatever happened between him and Suarez, I mean, his race just really fell apart after that, unfortunately. Had the contact with Suarez, and then he had lost the car at one point by himself, lost the front wing, and I guess just decided to call it a day. So Wassman, he definitely showed he's still got some speed left in the tank after having a really good season last year, but unfortunately, some bad luck so far this year. Today was really looking promising for him, but unable to put it together.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame for him today, but he can bounce.
We'll try and get some of the other guys in here. Unfortunately, we only had 4 finish the race.
Yeah. It's not good, but...
So moving into Suzuka, how do you think you'll fare in Suzuka, since it's more of a traditional F1 track? Is that one of your better ones that you can race at?
I'm alright at Suzuka. I know Iceman's alright at Suzuka, and I believe Kevin's good at it, but, you know, at the end of the day, it takes practice, and I practiced a lot this week, like I used to do in last season, what won me the title, and I think that's the only way I'm going to do well is practice, and I think anyone can win Japan, so you never know. Louis could actually win Japan with the pace he had at Australia, so we'll have to wait and see, but I'm possibly hoping for a podium there, at least.
Well, we've got Kevin Harrison joining us. Kevin, really quiet day for you. You were off the pace most of the day. You started deep in the field, considering how shallow it was to begin with. not one of your better tracks? I mean, what happened with you coming off of 4 straight wins? You were definitely seemed off the pace today. What happened?
Quali, I purposely didn't qualify because I wanted to be on medium soft, and I wanted my tires to be completely fresh so I could make the strategy work as well as it could. Then in the race, my pace seemed good at the start, and then I was kind of following Paco, and he kind of had an incident with Chipsman and Crunchy, and then he had to catch his car, and I couldn't really avoid it, and I got wing damage, so I was just falling back after the wing damage, and then yeah, I was just kind of on my own for the rest of the race, and then I saw the crash between... Oh no, I don't think they actually crashed together, but Paco crashed, and then Chipsman and Crunchy crashed into him at turn 12, so I got 2 positions off that. And then after that, I just kind of brought it home, really. Yeah, a quiet race, but I think I had the pace to be up there if I didn't have the incident I did with Paco. I had the strategy to be quicker at the end as well. I was planning to go on the softs right at the end, so if I was up there without the wing damage and quick at the end, I think I could have challenged for the win, but it didn't happen.
Well, I mean, a 4th spot today, it's a little bit of damage control considering the championship point standings, but I think even though it was a quiet race for you, you really were able to capitalize on some of the other drivers' mistakes, so congratulations to you coming home 4th. It's, you still retain your points lead, which is always good, even though Jared was able to take a little bit of bite out of it this week. How do you think you're going to fare going into Suzuka? Is that one of your better tracks, or is this going to be another damage control race heading in the next week?
Suzuka, I think I am quick. I think I can be back up there for a win. I'll be going for a win. Yeah, when I'm in a championship fight, I think the only thing that you would be going for is a win, or at least in my opinion, if you're in a championship fight, you should be going for wins, and that's what I'll be going for next week. My pace, I think, should be very good there. I have gone very well around there in the past, so as long as I can keep out of incidents, I think I should be up there for a win.
Very well. Well, congratulations on your 4th place finish. Like I said, damage control today. Do we have anybody else in here with us, Jared?
Not in the party, no. I have. You have actually invited the others, but I don't think they want to join.
Sent the invites out, so I guess they don't want to join, but I guess that'll do it here for IRL. So, I mean, another amazing race. Granted, the car count was low, but I mean, just like Bahrain, there was only a 10 car at Bahrain, and that race was full of action as well. And I think today's race, short on car count doesn't mean short on action in any way, shape, or form. So, great racing today, guys. Congratulations to Jared on his first win of the season and taking a bite out of Kevin Harrison's point standings there in the points battle, but Harrison able to capitalize on other drivers' mistakes. So congratulations to him coming home 4th. Be sure to check us out next week, December 1st. Same IRL time, same IRL channel. We'll be checking out Suzuka for round 12. And check us out online, International Racing League-IRL.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. And check us out on Twitter as well, at F1_IRL, for all the latest news and notes heading into next week's race. Guys, great racing today, and we'll see everybody at the next round.